Check, check, 1, 2, check, check. Oh, it's working. Oh, we are working. Q. Swap that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's working. We're good to go. It's just a little slow. All right, guys. Well, like I said, I think there's about a 20-second delay going on here, so that's why there was a bit of a delay starting out. But like I said, it's raining like crazy. I was going to be back out there in the forge, but I figured a little bit of a live broadcast might be nice for Sunday. So thank you guys for coming by on that end of it, and yeah, all that kind of good stuff. Well, it's been a busy couple of months. I've been gritting my teeth a little bit, but a couple of the good news is that over the past 2 months we have had a steady video out, at least one a week. And for those of you guys that don't know, we actually hired a guy to come all the way down from Atlanta to shoot film on the weekends and to get our videos up and ready for that type of thing. So it's been a bit of an experiment. Of course, it's very strange. YouTube is always kind of a weird thing. It's a massive investment of time, technically for a very small amount of return. If it were not for our Patreons, we wouldn't be able to do this. But so right now it's kind of a break even type situation. So but hey, it's getting out consistently, and that's the biggest thing. And hopefully, what's going to end up happening is we are going to continue this for 3 months, take another look at the numbers, and go from there. Aggravation is I actually have a job, and if you've ever tried to do any type of video filming, you will certainly understand that in order to do YouTube well, you need an entire crew and a couple $1,000s a month. So. But it's been one of those situations here lately where there's big things in the works, and I want to have the opportunity to kind of talk to everybody about it. And the only people that actually watch the live streams are like super dedicated fans. So again, guys, thank you all so much for being here. Like within like 3 seconds, like there's 4 people I know exactly who who are. So again, thank you guys for being here. But the biggest thing that's been going down here lately has actually been the work we've been doing on the property itself, and that's why we've been me and Jonathan, who is my new guy. I say new guy. Jonathan has been here for about 6 months now. He is a star player, and since I had somebody that could match me on construction skills, we made a good bit of money off of the movies this past year, and we decided to actually start reinvesting in the property. I have not been too mouthy with it because I wanted to have the thing done before we even thought to announce classes or anything like that. So, but here's the cool thing: we have actually built shower houses and cabins on the property, and very shortly we're actually going to, for the first time, be able to actually host classes here at the shop, which has been something that everybody's been dying for years, but we just did not have the infrastructure. Here at the shop, we're in the middle of nowhere. Like the closest hotel is about 45 minutes, an hour away. And so, in order for us to, look, now there's some diehards out there, of course. There's plenty of people that are willing to like to put a tent up and come stay. But when you're dealing with the general public and, especially the paying public, you've got to have certain standards. If it's your buds, they can poop in the woods. But if you've got somebody that's coming down that has a respectable job and respectable life, you can't have them out there pooping in the woods, man. It's just not good. So I was gonna see if I don't have any photographs of everything yet. I'll try to have some of those for a live stream a little bit later on that end of it. But I was hoping, this being one of the last weeks in January, that we would be ready to actually start running classes this weekend. I haven't announced anything simply because I wanted everything to be done and finished. I did not want to have to renege on a class date, and so Thank you, Ethel. Appreciate it. I will take $10. It's been that week. I'm a business owner, but I'll take your $10. Thank you, sir. So anyway, I'll have some pictures up of that, but just as soon when the buildings are done, and we're going to have space for 8 people at a time, and I'm kind of torn between two different ways we're going to do this. We're either going to do it like super fancy, or we're going to do it kind of dirty, and that's going to answer because like most of you guys and girls that watch me. I mean, we're a pretty greedy crowd, right? I mean, we are woods poopers. We are absolutely woods poopers. But we're hardcore, and unfortunately, there's not many of us out there. And as a business, if you're going to have somebody come down and take, maybe not just a blacksmithing course, but leather working or things like that, you've got to have those certain standards, and there's got to be a place for you to sleep comfortably. And especially if you're kind of from the higher up, you want to eat well. And that was one thing that was so important on the hunting plantations that I grew up on was hospitality. Um, these people that would come down to hunt quail would spend thousands and thousands of dollars. And if you fed them well, a lot of them never even went out on the hunt. They just hung around just to be able to get out, drink whiskey, and eat well. They were happy with their weekend vacation. Um, so that's really kind of what we're shooting for. So I think one of the nicer deal is you're going to come down. It's going to be all inclusive. We're going to take care of the food. Saturday there's going to be like a huge steak dinner, and I don't mean like garbage IGA steak. I mean like we've got a place that does Angus inch and a quarter thick steaks. My cousins own a vineyard down the way, so Saturday afternoon we're going to get off an hour early and haul everybody down to the vineyard for a wine tasting. It's going to be that type of thing for all the fancy people. Now we'll have some rough ones, but this is going to be as much about the hospitality and excellent food as it is going to be on the blacksmithing, and that's really kind of where I want to be for the most part with our classes. So that's the update there. But anyway, now, as usual, I do have a topic I wanted to talk to about today. If you guys have been watching on Facebook, I actually had an opportunity to do some axes here lately, and I had recently posted a picture of. Let's see if I can find this thing. You guys get a kick out of this. Let me see if I can grab it real quick. A picture of the hatchets that I had actually been doing last night. Now, why was I posting pictures of hatchets? Because here's the thing. I like ripped off a guy named Ragoni Ironworks, and he did a much better job of me years ago. He did a great video of making a colonial hatchet. And he's got, let's see what I got here. Nobody look at my downloads. I got to hide that. No telling what you guys are going to see. Let's open this up here. There we go. So this is the picture I put up on Facebook the other day, and you can see here we've got a mess of what they call bow ties, and these are in fact. Let's see if I can full screen that. These are in fact screw ups. So I spent the majority of yesterday not only making several different types of drifts, I also did this mess. And the topic I was going to put on today's thing was accuracy versus precision. And a lot of people don't know the difference between those words. A lot of people think that they're synonyms, and they're really not. Accuracy basically means hitting what you're aiming at. If you have a bullseye on a target and you're able to hit that target at the bullseye, that is being accurate. Okay. But precision doesn't necessarily speak to accuracy, it speaks to repeatability. So if you can, and this is where it kind of gets weird because, you know, being precise means that your accuracy is repeatable. And this is where we get into production. Now, a lot of people that are hobbyists say, hey, well, I'm not very good at this. Well, the thing is, that's fine, but the way that you actually get good at it is you do it over and over and over again. So you change once you get it right, once you're accurate, and in order to be precise, you got to do it that same way over and over again. And so much of that goes to what I do in the shop these days. Now, as a hobbyist, we kind of have this Mario mentality of doing stuff. You do level one, and the moment that you actually complete level one, whether you had a good level one or not, you go to level two. That's not how you get good at anything. It's not how you make money with anything. What you have to do is you have to repeat what you're doing so many times that your accuracy is consistent. And I think that's what leads to the word precision. So Jonathan, who's been my star player here, and he is, for the 6 months he's been here, he's ground a lot of knives. He's done a lot of construction work. He's done a lot of stuff that like was not involved in blacksmithing at all. And now, hopefully, we are going to have the chance to actually get him into doing more of that iron work. So uh, which brings us to these axes here. So this video that I watched that was Rigoni Ironworks, it laid out exactly how he did it, and of course his piece looks great. And I have pieces that look like crap. If you look at that guy that's over here on the right hand side, don't ask. I got upset and I just kind of beat it to death. That's all I did. So the point of the matter is like when you're doing this to actually make money, this is where jigs come in. This is where in order to do work profitably, you need that tooling to make it precise, to make it repeatable. And that is the absolute key. So all these particular bow ties I have in this picture are not right. Now you can't really see, but if you actually will look, right here where the cheeks meet the actual meat of the blade, those are supposed to be dead even. And most of these are a quarter inch out, some of them a half inch out. And the reason for that is when you have that bow tie open and you're spreading those cheeks, um, I didn't think to measure the distance between those two pieces. Just had no control in there, wasn't even looking for it. So then when I folded everything up, they don't match. And if they don't match, well, you've got a problem because the drift really isn't going to make a is not going to make a good fit. So this is kind of the point that I'm making here is that you have to end up going and doing a lot of this stuff over and over again to make the jigs just to get things done right. Let me see, where's an excellent example? Okay, right here. So, guys, if you see here, this is going to be a stool that I did quite some time ago, and now this is some pretty high end stuff. This is all forged. The legs are 1 inch stock, and they've got these cool little balls that are forged into them. This all tenon joinery. I mean, this is good looking ironwork. This is top end ironwork, right? But the question is, how in God's name do you form those balls and do it consistently like that? Well, that's why you run a die or a jig. And this is where a lot of people want to come in and say, well, that's cheating. No, that's how you do good work because you have to make the die or the jig. And in that sense, if you want to be a really good blacksmith, there's an argument to be said for, well, then you're really only as good as your dies and jigs, which you need to make. So there's a plausible argument that you can be like a suck blacksmith but great at making dies, and then you only have to be good at one thing of making the dies, and then everything else looks great. That's where everybody wants to say, well, that's not completely hand craftsmanship, and I think I would disagree on that end of it. If somebody looked at this particular work and said, well, that's not hand craftsmanship, well, I think there's a lake down the road they can go jump in. But yeah, those jigs are absolutely terribly important. Now, not just that those jigs exist for one thing. If you look at these are some door knockers I did. And if you will look at the center portion here, believe it or not, that round area that the door knockers actually, is the main body of it there. That is actually from that same ball jig. I actually made a ball and just kind of flattened it and punched a hole through it, and that makes that piece there. So these jigs, have the opportunity to do not just one or two things, but hundreds of different things using the same particular form. So that is why it is important. Here's a good photograph. Check that out. Oh, oh, look, I've got a comparison here. So this is a practice run here. And you can see where I'm basically just running the die and checking it out. But here's the crazy thing. So like with those axes that you saw just a few moments ago, or we go back to that. If I still got them hiding in here, maybe not. No, here. There's a random picture of Jimmy Carter for your viewing pleasure. Poor dude ain't got no teeth. So, but if you go back to those axes, like the work that you saw there, those axes on that was on the tail end of the actual work, because the majority of Saturday I spent making two new drifts, and then I actually had to make a tool to actually set down the cheeks, and I need photographs of this stuff. But the tooling, just to start making mistakes, like that was the crazy thing. I spent all day Saturday making the tooling to just make 10 mistakes. And that is a part of that massive research and development that goes into any of that stuff. Yeah. Hey, random Jimmy Carter. Decent fella. Decent fella. I don't care what they say. He's a decent fella. If you're wondering why I was with Jimmy Carter on that end of it, that is because yeah, Peanut Jimmy. In fact, I actually dated his niece, believe it or not. And let me tell you, friends, there's madness in the family. There's madness in that family. Um, well, actually, believe it or not, did I make a habitat? I was actually the executive director of the first habitat branch in Americus, Georgia, called New Horizons. That's back when I was actually like I said, in the corporate world. Oh, here's some good stuff. All right, now here's some cool things. Check this out. All right, so you guys know we do a little bit of bronze casting, and what we have here are actually wax castings for something called a Daedric dagger. Now, that's right, guys. If you're a gamer, this is where you do need to poop your britches a little bit, because that is in fact a Daedric dagger from Skyrim. I was asked to help out with this project from a friend of mine out in California, and so he sent me these pieces, and I poured them in bronze. And check that out. Now, here's the thing. This is one component of this entire piece. Now, this dagger, I mean, it's a sizable dagger. It's probably about 19 inches altogether. But each one of these pieces had to be carved. The actual molds made for the waxes, not for these pieces, but actually to be able to repeat these waxes. So by the time that you get everything poured and cast, um, you've got, I think, 3 months of work just to run all the molds for these pieces. And of course, the end result's going to look something like this. Now, that's a terrible photo. There's a little bit better one. But if you look here on the end, you can actually see there's your pommel, there's your guard. Not only are the spacers cast, this side piece is cast, and these little pieces of bone in the middle, they are actually cast pieces of resin as well. So understand that to be able to put all this together, each one of these pieces has to be individually molded, individually poured, individually cast before you can even have the components to do one piece. This has been kind of a nightmare project. Uh, that, like I said, that's a whole other story. It's not my story to tell, but yeah, this has been a bit of a nightmare project. I think these were supposed to have been delivered middle of last year sometime, but I don't think they're there yet. So yeah, I mean, but the point is that in order to be able to do something with a consistency, you have to first stop, figure out how to do it, then start making tooling, and you have to make all this tooling experimentally, throwing some tooling away, saving some. So it's not the evolution of the piece, it's really the evolution of the tooling to make the correct piece. And once you've spent all that time, then you get to make one good one. So yeah, it's not a it's not a fun deal. All right, I'm trying to see what else we got here. Now the alternative here, and this is something you guys really need to see. The alternative to that is this. Now this is an early acanthus leaf that I did, and you can see there's a whole lot of hammer marks in this thing. So if you don't have a die, if you don't have a press, all of this has to be done individually, one at a time. And this is where we kind of get into that question of craftsmanship of what is good craft, what is handmade, and where is it practical. And that's the other thing, because if I go over to like Home Depot or a place like that, and I'm going to be looking at this metal chair and everything's stamped out, I'm like, well, that's not hand done. um, but at the same time, if I were to do one leaf, they could have probably done 50 chairs in the time that it takes me to do one leaf. So again, we have to have that argument between what is art, what is craft, and what ends up being actually practical. All right, what else we got here? What other kind of crap we got to do in here? All right. Do 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 do. Let's see. We had all kind of stuff in here. Brain. All right, here we go. Great example. So this is a piece of handrail that I did for a really wealthy fella across the river. And now, guys, you can see here this is fabricated stuff. That there's a well there. Now that bothers me. Now me again, I like the old stuff. I don't like there to be I don't like you to be able to see a modern weld anywhere. But again, I had a time frame to be able to do this in. So all of this is hammered material, but you have the weld right there in the corner. And the question becomes, well, if I had taken the time to actually make this thing completely traditionally, tried to either jump weld that or rivet it, would I have been better off? And the answer is no, because the budget was already set. And you're not doing yourself any favors by taking something that you can do for $2,000, and then I mean if that's the budget, and then spending $10,000 in time on it. That's how you go broke. So there's all these competing deals, and this is where I'm always so jealous of my trust fund kids. Like when you see like this artist, I love. I say I love them. It's just like I'm fascinated by these hairy hippies. This I took 8 months to make this sculpture of a gazelle's butthole, and it's beautiful art. But either this dude had to live in a cardboard box and wipe his butt with with dandelions, or he's got a trust fund that feeds him, and that's why he can spend 8 months doing nothing but understanding the cosmic concepts of a gazelle's butthole. That's and I hate these guys. I hate them, and I hate them because I envy them. I envy the ability to be able to do that stuff. And if you guys have never heard this particular story, I think this is a prime example of why I get so frustrated with this. I was at Blade Show, and I'm walking around, and if you guys don't know, I'm kind of a mini celebrity at Blade Show. Not so much these days, but at the height of Forge and Fire and everything else, I mean, people knew who I was. Um, so I'm walking through, and I'm looking at these knife makers, and I come up to one table, and there are just some blisteringly good Bowie knives on there. I mean, I am just like cross-eyed, envious, and jealous of the guy that made this stuff. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at this spread of 5 or 6 blades, and I am bitter. That's flat out. I am absolutely 100% jealous of people with more talent than I have, and that's a lot of them. And I'm feeling I'm kind of in my mind. I'm kind of lost in a little bit of self pity because I'm looking at these blades and I'm going, you know, I could do this quality of work if I had the time to invest. If I didn't have to make a living and I can invest the time, I could do this work or better. I mean, I'm certain of it. And I'm like, but I just don't have the time to invest in this particular discipline. And I hated it, right? I'm sitting here, I'm just like a nervous wreck. And I realize that somebody's talking to me. And the guy says, well, there's a face that I know. And I kind of snap out of it, and I realize it's the guy that actually has the booth there. And he comes around and he shakes my hand. He says, you're Purgatory Ironworks, you're Trent Ty. I'm like, well, yes. He's like, dude, he says, I started knife making by watching your videos. Now, here's the problem. Now, for most people that are of a better nature than I am, what a compliment. I mean, that is I mean the ultimate compliment. And and it should be humbling and empowering, but no, not me, not me and my shallow ass. Because the immediate thing is like, here's this jackass that watched my stuff and now is far better than I am at these knives. that's that, that's my response. And I know I'm not a very good person for feeling that way, but again, the work was beautiful, but I was honestly a little upset that this jackass started with my stuff and now he's better than I am. Which again, it should be the ultimate compliment, but yeah, one of them things. Anyhow, all right, well, guys, well, like I said, I think that's enough rambling for me on that end of it. Well, like I said, if anybody has any particular questions, go ahead and drop them into chat. Like I said, we normally go through this, like I said, every time we do a live stream. So if you have some questions on that end of it, please drop them in there, and I'll be glad to answer them. Outside of that, let me see what else I can find here for you guys to check out that might be somewhat interesting. It's kind of weird. I usually have like a third screen on the computer so I can hide all my unnecessary downloads. Let's see. What do we want to look at here? Oh, we can look at other people's stuff. Oh yeah. So I am like 100% thief when it comes to ideas. So I'm a member of Andre Shadevi's some of his stuff, and they regularly post um, really nice stuff. The stuff that I'm super envious of. All right. Let's see. Holy crap, David, I still haven't sent you those sheaves. Okay, dude, so hey, here's what we're going to do. Shoot me another email, David. I had a server crash a couple months ago. Send me another email. I'm going to refund your money, and then when we get those sheaves done, I'm going to send you those sheaves for free. My gosh. She'll let me know, dude. That's terrible. That's awful. Okay, James Shanny, have you ever seen those Vever anvils? They seem pretty good for the price. So, James, here's the thing. I haven't, but I'm going to tell you that I'm actually probably going to get one here shortly. Believe it or not, Vever reached out to me the other day and wanted me to do some reviews for them. And we actually used their knife grinding jig in the shop exclusively. And we just cut a video for them. So, the next thing I'm going to hit them with is going to be for an anvil. So, I'll actually have hands on one and I will do a little bit of a review. So, Andre Grenier Jr., what is the hardest jig you've ever had to make? So, the crazy thing is, jigs get complicated quick. And there's two ways to go about them. Either you do them the old way, which basically you make the master and just beat hot pieces of metal around it, or you try to machine it with the new stuff. And I think the most difficult jig was probably one of the most straightforward, and that was a jig to actually make hammerheads, not like hand hammerheads, but actually hammer dies for the power hammer. Because the power hammer actually locks in with a wedge, and the angle that the hammerhead is actually milled on is super precise. Like tenths of degrees make a difference in how well it stays in the hammer. And I felt I was going to drive myself mad trying to get that one right. So it was actually very simple. It was actually a jig to grind the bevels into the hammer dies for my power hammer. Mark's pie. You seem with someone intrigued about antelope anusar. Is there something we should be concerned about? Mark, you've been around for a while. There's so many things to be concerned about with me. You just if that's the one that you picked out, boy, you are behind the curve, buddy. Old Sneelock. Hi, Trent. I've been a while since I sat down to watch your work. Well, hey, thank you for being back. I haven't done a lot of this stuff in a while, simply because we have been so busy over the past year. I mean, last year was the biggest year we ever had in the shop because of the movies. And guys, that's the old age thing. Like when I'm, unless I am like fighting off a mental issue or I have nothing else to do, I rarely do a lot of this type of stuff. So, but hey, thanks for being back. Brian McGuire. I have a train rail anvil and I'm starting out with it right now. Would it be better for me to have it milled flat? It would also be free also. A family has a mill. Brian, I'm going to tell you something. If it's all you've got, yeah. But if you've got a family member who has a mill and again, if you have not seen my video, find yourself an ASO. You really need to go check it out. Um, you really need to go check it out because that train rail anvil just isn't heavy enough. It's not You're not going to do yourself any favors, certainly not leaning on a family member. Go find a chunk of square steel and it will do more for you than that train rail anvil will do. So I would say no, probably not worth the time. Okay, let's see. That one is interesting. At trend, Coco, please not. Let's please not make a trend of antelope penises. Are you going to Southern Conference in Madison, Georgia in May? Um, I'm going to try to get up there this year. It's weird how it goes, how it jumps around, and it's very strange that like Saturday's only a half day. But I'm going to try to take the new guys up there and go up there. So smooch the like button, absolutely. Aderic, she who smuggles balloons. As far as how I'm doing, it's been a rather tumultuous year, to be honest with you. Again, we it was just wide open for the two movies, um, and it's been a little stressful to be honest. And there in December. Unfortunately, the young lady that I had here working our leather, I had to let her go, and that's always tough. It's always tough to lose a team member on that end of it. Good girl. Just had some particular issues that she was working with, and it just was not panning out with the shop. But those are always tough things to deal with. But Jonathan, the new guy, has been awesome. We're still short a person. I mean, we're just really short on manpower, but it's kind of different. We can't hire off the street, and when it's very much like trying to find a new family member. So, and I have been pushing hard on these buildings. So between that and just going out of my mind, wanting these buildings to be done, it's been a little aggravating. I will confess to. So yeah. All right, James Shanny. Are there any new anvil makers that are worth anything? The short answer is no. The Nimbus anvil. I mean, the Nimbus has always had the good stuff. I mean, the new American anvil makers are great. Mankel's been around, so no, there's really nothing new under the sun. Andre, any progress on your second book? You know, Andre, that is on the list. But the thing about it is the aggravation about doing a book is that you kind of need some isolation, and it's very difficult to be boss and to do that as well. So the answer is no, not a damn bit. Maybe when we get these classes ready to go, and the so guys, here's the thing. The movies paid us bank. It was awesome. But that work is feast or famine, and we don't know when the next movie we get is going to be. So we've got to have some way of being able to cover all the bases, and keep everybody paid. And that's where these classes come in. So this is going to be the real missing puzzle piece after all these years of making sure that the shop functions the way that it does. So I'm hoping that once that's in place, I'll have some time to do more things like this. They're time intensive, but I have to be left alone a little bit to get them done. It's only January. Adarig, the fact of the matter is no, no. It's like everybody thinks of the year is starting over. The only thing the turn of the year does for me, is remind me of when I've got to do taxes. That's about it. James Shanty, I'm a decent carpenter. If you need help, James, how far away are you? Because like we need some spot help. There's no two ways about it, and I've got housing. So send me an email. If you're within deal, like I said, I got housing and food and pay. But right now, the damned aggravation is like I'm inside today because we haven't had 3 days clear from rain, and to actually dry in the next bunkhouse, we've got to have a couple of clear days. But we really need it. So, are you likely to try online classes again, or was this just not worth it financially? Uh, Mark, that was absolutely the issue. It was financially worth it, but the problem was I did not have help, which has been the universal issue, right? Um, there is so much that goes into just producing a YouTube video, much less managing classes on that end of it. And this is where I've had to be far more careful because to get everybody signed up, to make sure that the class is worth it to the people that are paying for you on that end of it, it was just absolutely too much. Um, and it comes back into the end of it where, when we have a bit more money and we have more manpower, like this is why I need a wife. I don't need a wife for the love or the comfort or the balloons. I need a wife for the free labor. I need an admin. Like I need just a flat out admin wife. So, um, anyways, so that's kind of where everything's at. It's been a good push. It's been the best year the shop's ever had. It's been a lot of change. But when we get these buildings done, I am hoping that that's going to be the real starting point of some stability in the shop. Again, I cannot stress again that Jonathan, who's our new guy, I cannot stress enough what an awesome guy he is. A fella of character, very capable, and he's just been an all-star on that end of that end of things. So yeah, we're in a good spot. We're in a good spot. Doing the mail order. Well, the problem with getting the Asian mail order brides is sometimes they don't put holes in the box and the damn things wind up here dead. I think they had an issue with that in New York. David, isn't that an intern? So, and this is where, and we've had a lot of success bringing interns down, but again, it is a tremendous amount of time investment to vet somebody to come down. Like, because it's not just about having somebody to swing a hammer. This could be the psycho that's sleeping 50 feet from where you are. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Paul, believe it or not, I actually purchased a boat, a 1972 Tri-Hill. Get this, Mr. Jonathan is actually a combat aircraft mechanic. He was in Afghanistan. He's in his late 30s, but he actually went through the whole thing. So we actually have a boat now for some mental, some mental release there. So That's hey, I gotta tell you, Ulbeck said, "Ooh, the webpage has an OnlyFans link." So that has been the funniest thing because when I go up to Atlanta to the Blade show, there's been 5 or 6 people that see me and start laughing, and I pretty much know what it is. Is they went to the website, and yes, I have an OnlyFans link on my website. And if you click it, it takes you to the Rick Roll video. And like, so when I get up to Atlanta and somebody looks at me, just starts laughing, they clicked on the damn link. It's so good. It's so good. All right, well, guys, let's here. We've been running for about 45 minutes. I just want to take an opportunity on Sunday afternoon to touch base with you guys again. Tell you thank you so much for the support that you've always shown. I'm going probably going to be asking you guys a lot of questions as we move forward. We're going to have some polls and stuff like that. Um, like I said, Rich is our guy that's coming down and filming with us. He's actually a real cinema photographer. I mean, he's actually works for the movies. So I'm abusing the hell out of him on that end up, but he's done a great job. That's why the camera work looks so good. That's why the videos look so good. So, but I'm going to have questions. If we can, we're really going to try to have to find somebody to start handling the social media end of it. Like I said, we're in a bit of a rut on all this end of it, and we need somebody that's got some tech savvy that I do not have. So, anyway, guys, thank you all so very much for being here. Appreciate you hanging with me all these particular years, and I'll keep you posted. And I hope you guys are enjoying the video. So, you guys be safe, be good, and I will talk to you all just a tad bit later. See you guys.